It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across the USA and around the world, he is Eric Harley and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. My favorite story from yesterday, I started reading this and I just kept laughing and laughing and laughing. Uber has put its chief diversity and inclusion officer on leave after she moderated a pair of, quote, "Don't Call Me Karen" events that workers at the San Francisco-based firm said were insensitive to people of color, according to a report from the New York Times.
There is so much in just that one sentence.
Yes. The Uber Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer, Bo Young Lee, who is Asian, billed the first event in April as a time to focus on the, quote, Karen persona, end of quote, and to hear from white women who work at Uber, the report said. Karen is a pejorative often used to refer to white women who feel the need to police people of color and or demand special treatment in everyday encounters.
Uh-huh.
Now, I never viewed the term Karen as the need to police people of color.
No. It was the need to police everybody.
The need to police everybody is how I viewed it, Karen.
Right.
I never thought until this article that it was. Now, you had people that might have been, because it was, viewed as, I necessarily didn't view Karen as a white woman. It was just a woman.
Yeah.
But we'll go with what this is what happens when you have DEI. It doesn't matter what I think, it's what they think. That's the important stuff, or the funny stuff.
All right.
So Karen is a pejorative, according to the New York Times, often referred to white women who feel the need to police people of color and or demand special treatment in everyday encounters. The invitation reportedly said the event would host a open and honest conversation about race and be a time to dig into the spectrum of the American white woman's experience.
Oh, that was a bright idea.
It was reportedly part of Uber's Moving Forward series, a string of discussions about race that began at the company after 2020's Black Lives Matters protest. But workers, according to the New York Times report, said in messages that the conversation felt like a lecture about white women's struggles and minimized the reasons that people find Karen behavior objectionable in the first place.
Well, how could it not come off as that?
Asked a question about preventing tone-deaf, offensive, and triggering conversation in diversity initiatives at an all-hands meeting a few weeks later, Lee reportedly said the series was aimed at having tough, not necessarily comfortable conversations. More outrage after she said that, and complaints
tough for who?
Executives ensued.
Wow.
Lee then held another event last Wednesday to discuss the first meeting, but workers in the Slack groups for Black and Hispanic employees at the company said they were lectured about their response to the first event. I think when people are called Karens, it's implied that this is someone that has little empathy for others, one employee reportedly wrote. Like, why can't bad behavior be called out? Because you must understand the Karen. After the second event, Lee's two bosses told her to step back and take a leave of absence while we determine the next steps, according to an email.
Hey, why don't you go sit down and have a Bud Light?
Could just possibly spend... Do these people work? Does anybody work?
I guess not. I don't know how you get the money. I don't know how you pay for things. But then again, with some of them, I don't know how they dress themselves in the morning.
I mean, that was my thing. What about doing your job? My job consumes everything.
Yeah.
It's and treating people the right way is just normal. I treat everybody the same. Horribly.
Yeah.
And that works for me.
Yeah. Everybody out.
I'm Karen's brother.
Yeah. Everybody out. Get out. No, I see it all the time on YouTube. A video will pop up. Ran into a male Karen today.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically a guy throwing a fit. And also, don't they know that everybody has a camera?
An Uber spokesperson confirmed to the Times that Lee is on leave of absence. Neither the company nor the executive replied to the San Francisco Chronicle's request for comment. Lee has worked in corporate diversity and inclusion for decades.
Yeah.
And joined Uber in 2018 to lead the ride-hailing giant's efforts. She was the third leader of diversity and inclusion initiatives at Uber, but the first to take on such a senior title. She works closely with the management who took over the firm in 2017 with the mandate to clean up the company's toxic culture, according to Uber's website. I think the focus should be for everybody, irrespective of your sex, sexuality, nationality, or skin color, how to have a better business model to ensure that when drivers pick up a customer, the company and the driver make more money and you become more efficient and productive in your business goals.
Well, yeah, because I think a lot of people would benefit from training and how to behave in that setting, right? There have been, I've seen the videos, people that are, riding, whether it's Uber or the other Lyft, and they're taking a video of the driver and the driver's throwing a fit. Or sometimes the driver taking a video of the passenger and they're throwing a fit. It's like, yeah. This is, they say ride share. It's not really ride share. We just changed how taxis work. It's a business. And you got to behave that way. I know it's your car, but you got to, but beyond that, how do you not know the basics anyway of, all right, look, I need to make money at this. I need to be good at it. And every once in a while, I need to have an enormous amount of patience.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and, yeah, if somebody's acting out or whatever.
Right, but that's not my point. The point is not the drivers. This is the corporate offices is what we're talking about here.
Well, no, I'm talking about putting, something like this kind of plan and training together. What was so bad that you had to create something like this?
Well, the thing is, they actually have the DEI. They actually have meetings where they discuss racial issues. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine having to work for a company where where it's either during the workday you have to spend an hour talking racial issues.
Well, that's my point.
Don't bother me.
That's my point.
I know how to handle.
How bad is it, or did they just go out of their way to create something that wasn't really a problem?
Right.
People know. How do you not know how to, and I understand they're going to be, because you're dealing with strangers in your own car. It's got to be weird, or you're riding in somebody else's car. I get it. But the very basics, well, that's not They're creating something here. Either something is extremely wrong with the business model to the extent that they had to put this together, or they're creating something that doesn't really exist.
But this is not DEI for the drivers. This is the corporate thing. The drivers are a separate thing completely.
Right.
Yeah, this is DEI put together in the corporate headquarters. These are the white-collar workers in Uber that are having these meetings, not the drivers.
Are they not dealing with the issues of some of the driver? Is that not related to some of the driver Karens that are out there that have been making all the viral videos here in the last few days?
Oh, no, I don't believe so, no.
Okay, because those videos have been viral in the last week.
Of what?
Yeah, of the Karen drivers and passengers.
Oh, no, I haven't even seen that. Because I've never had a bad Uber experience, ever.
No, I haven't either.
Ever. And
I take everything that I see on social media with a grain of salt.
Right.
It's isolated.
From what I get, this is the corporate offices.
Well, even more so.
Having these meetings, and
even
I'm just
more
like,
so.
I've been in the business world and worked with everybody and never had any. Well, I've had problems with people.
Right.
None were race related. None were gender related. None were nationality related. They might have been business related where I had disagreements, but none of that ever with anyone ever.
So here's my question.
And the last thing I would want to be doing is the company, every week we have to have this, and everybody must be involved here. Now this is about white women and Karens or whatever it is with DEI. Mm-hmm. All right, now it's going to be critical race theory, and you must own up to your inherent bigotry because of the culture. Shut up, leave me alone. If you don't want to work on the business model of the company to make more money, I don't want to deal with you.
Yeah, that's that's kind of my point on the creating a business model on a rideshare, right? I could see where they could extrapolate this out and say, look, we're going to have to teach some people how to get along. But if this is only happening in the corporate office, then there's a bigger problem. And it tells me it's one of these problems where they've got to go out of their way. Either something is very wrong in their corporate headquarters to the extent they need this meeting every week, or they're going out of their way to create something that isn't there. Whether it's the drivers, subcontractors, or the corporate employees, this sounds conjured. Or is it?
The Conjuring Tree.
No.
DEI.
We talk about this. Where is that racism? Where is that bigotry? It's on the left.
Well, it's the whole concept of DEI to begin with, which is judging people by groups
exactly.
and not individuals.
Right. And you implement this into corporations and you adopt this and then you, again, further your agenda as such. But here's another question. We talk about like Silicon Valley Bank and the culture that was created there. How could you not know the simple basics of banking, right? Right. And so now, look, the simple base, I understand corporate training. Okay, everybody go through the corporate training, blah, blah, blah. But this is a weekly meeting where they want results. If you're doing this every week, you want this agenda, this policy to be implemented even further, embedded into the company culture even further to where it becomes the company culture. So either there's a massive problem there or it's contrived. They're creating something that doesn't exist.
Well, the problem is DEI.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing it with DEI. That's the whole problem with it.
The entire thing of DEI is you judge people by groups, not individuals.
Exactly.
As soon as you enter that territory, you're going to have massive chaos.
Right.
And that's what you're getting.
And that is the, again, if you start on the wrong premise, everything that follows sounds logical, but it's still wrong. And the wrong premise of this whole DEI is that, oh my gosh, there's a massive problem here. Well, there isn't. This is agenda working its way into corporations, because where do you go next? Well, now it needs to be reflected in pay. It needs to be reflected in profits. It needs to be reflected with the shareholders. It needs to be reflected all the way throughout. The agenda is very much alive in the private sector. They want to push it through the private sector, in public schools, and everywhere else.
866-90 Red Eye.
One of Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack's goals for his department is this:
to help rebuild and strengthen the middle class in rural America.
And so to that end,
today we make a significant investment of $394 million through the Rural Development Mission Area at USDA.
Vilsack telling reporters Monday that the money in the form of loans and grants will help fund 52 projects in 8 states and Puerto Rico. For example, one New Mexico community needs a public safety complex.
It would include, in part, a new fire station. This resource is going to help pay for the design and environmental reports necessary to get this project off the ground.
Vilsack says for some projects, the funds will go for actual purchases of equipment or construction of facilities. And while these projects are for small and under-resourced communities, he says, put the projects all together and
these investments will provide assistance and help, potentially to communities that service more than 2 million people.
Gary Crawford reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
This report is made possible by Cenex Roadmaster XL Premium Diesel and Citgo Lubricants.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
It's Red Eye Radio. It's Eric Carly. I'm Gary McNamara. Could you imagine just, all right, if we worked during the day and the company came and said, okay, guys, you're going to have to, there's a meeting here, part of the DEI initiative. And so today's topic is going to be understanding Karens who are white women. Could you imagine
listen,
us?
I will be there.
We can't go in that meeting. We'll get fired.
Yeah. It's going to require a lot of patience on my part, but I'm going to have to show up. It's, because, again, if you're a company and you're adopting this policy, what you're saying is there's something wrong here within our walls.
Right. And then if you do the opposite of it, because the reason we left with the Karen thing is that's DEI going full circle from the what DEI has become in many companies, which is white people own up to your racism that still exists today culturally in you.
Right.
That's just as great as if it's in your DNA.
Right.
Well, that's not going to bring a company together.
And you're doing that once a week. You're repeating
I don't know if it's once a week.
Yeah,
the meetings are.
But if
it's a regular pattern.
If you've adopted the policy, then it's going to be on a regular basis.
Yes.
Otherwise, you don't adopt the policy. Which is my earlier point. You're trying to get to some result. The idea of adopting it isn't just to show the world that, oh, look, we did this, and then you kind of promote your corporation that way.
This is a problem that may be happening or is happening.
Yes, and you have to say we did this and we implemented as a result these changes. Well, that requires consistent work. Forget about weekly, that's daily. You're reshaping the culture of your corporation. Now, in a world where people can say, all right, well, maybe there's somewhere else I can work, I wonder what it does to retention numbers.
No, I agree.
And I think we're seeing a lot of pushback, from investors. They're saying, look, this isn't the way to go. This is not how companies should be running.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
It's Fun Night Radio. He's Eric Carly and I'm Gary McNamara. All right. Couple of stories here. There it is. Caitlyn Jenner responds as trans teen finishes second in Meet of Champions in California. This is wrong.
Yeah.
I just thought that, I mean, that's really an interesting dynamic. Here you have a transgender woman, biological male, as we all know, Bruce Jenner.
Yeah.
Considered the best probably considered the best athlete. You probably could put him in the top 5 of the best athletes because he won the decathlon ever.
Yeah.
Who is now a transgender woman who is completely against biological men competing against biological women. I just think the dynamic of that is extremely interesting.
No,
I
think it
when you think about it.
Well, it's funny. If you would have had, if you would have told me back, I don't know, maybe around 1980, well, in 2023, you'll be on the radio talking about this, and this is what the situation will be. I don't know what you're doing, but maybe you need to get sober. But it's, it is interesting.
Well, think about this, though. You remember when you and I, when the futurists said that robots will have rights by 2056?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we said,
Yeah.
well, I'll be 101 years old at the time, and so
I'll turn 90 in 2056.
But I don't want to be alive at that. I don't want to be alive and talk about that. And here we are talking about AI.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Way before that.
We keep moving it up, by the way, over the years. It's like, no, it's not going to be 2056. It'll be 2026, when robots have rights. But, yeah, and AI will be building all of those robots. They're going to take over the world. Everyone, if you want to live, come with me. Get down.
I saw Mike Rowe saying if you want to be able to defeat AI, be technical. Somebody has to build and maintain all of it.
Yes. Hello, Mike. I would like to talk to you about your statement on AI.
Here's what I think is interesting about it. I wasn't even thinking of talking about this, but it just popped into my mind.
By the way, most of my intelligence is artificial.
Throughout everything in human history, the projection has been, even in the first industrial revolution, when we went from agricultural to manufacturing, you take that from probably the middle 1850s all the way up to, I'm going to guess 1930 when that transition, I'll say 1950 because that's when we really we became an industrialized society.
Yeah.
When really the technology came in. But in that roughly 100 years, maybe a little more, of that transition, and the entire time we were told we're going to run out of jobs. And then from 1950 all the way through that, I remember the 70s, that we were told that by the time we got to 1999 and 2000, we'd only be working 3-day work weeks. There would not be enough work for people. Right. What we're finding out now is, we're being told that AI is going to take all the jobs. It is going to take millions of jobs. But will it do what technology has always done, created opportunities for completely different jobs that AI can't do?
Right.
And I guess we'll see, because what the problem is now is because we don't have the birth rate anymore. And think about it. It was the baby boom rate, and women coming into the workforce in that half-century period, which provided the labor for the massive increase in jobs that happened, not a massive decrease.
Right.
And now what we're seeing is because we don't have there's no birth rate anymore. Right. Yeah. There's way more jobs than people that are that we can actually that people can fill, and so or there's a mismatch, which by the way is going to necessitate that college we haven't even talked about AI. I know I saw that Mike Rowe was talking about AI and how to prepare for it. I wonder if he talked about education. Is AI going to force any useless curriculum to disappear in college?
No, it will. And it won't even be, because here's what's interesting is that if you take the current technology, the hardware that we have available to us right now, and the AI, which is basically the software technology behind it, and pair it together. Right now, you can go to a foreign country. You don't have to learn another language. You have your earpiece in. You have your earbuds or whatever you're wearing, and then a person talks into your phone, and your app translates it to you, or you talk into your phone and it translates it to them. Things that don't have to be learned, that can still be utilized real time. And all of those items, then, all right, so what am I going to learn? Well, I think the learning curve is going to hurt a lot, because it's going to be, okay, where do we find our role? What is going to be the purpose of, we talk about the Hollywood strike, and the big thing for the Hollywood strike is, from the Writers Guild, we want a minimum number of humans attached to each project. It's okay if they use AI, but we don't want an entire show or movie or whatever written solely by AI. And by the way, I floated that. I tried that. I went on to ChatGPT, logged on to my account, and I asked it to write a script, and I gave it the premise of the script. It was pretty cool. Now, it didn't write. I could have said, write a 2-hour movie script, and I'm not sure where that would have gone. I just write a script, and it was an entire scene that it wrote. The point being is that who knows what it will be able to do, but the only thing that it is it's gathering stuff that's already out there and available to us. It's just gathering it faster and putting it into making something of it immediately. It's a matter of taking that and condensing the time. So my best guess is that we're going to have to condense our time. So spending 4 years on a degree, with the exception, of course, your medical degree, you're going to want to go to medical school at least 6 months. But many of those degrees are going to vanish, because you're going to have to learn things faster and in a very practical way, so that you can apply those skills and what you're learning very quickly. And that's my best guess as to where that's going. I mean, again, that doesn't apply to every, education, formal education, but I think it does apply overall, that the learning curve is going to be, it's going to dictate that we get ahead of the game, which means spending less time sitting in a classroom, digesting it through, a lecture or whatever it might be. It will be more practical and straight to the point. It's going to have to be accelerated.
When you talk about script writing, and by the way, how long have they been on strike? And have I missed anything of entertainment value? No.
Yeah,
but when you talk about putting a script together, is that actually, when you look at how complex AI can be, rather a simple task? Because if you look at it, let's say there's been I don't know, I'm just going to throw out a figure, 50,000 movies done.
Yeah.
In the history of movies in the United States. And maybe it's less, I don't even know. I mean, I don't know.
Right.
Or maybe you look for successful movies, there's been 5. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But and so all those scripts are available out there. All that information is out there that AI can go in. And so you say, write a script about this, and it just feeds off of all of that and comes up.
That's what it does.
It comes up with a particular script. But even if you have 50,000, really, when you think about it, unless it's a particular story of nonfiction, probably 99% of stories out there have been covered. We have seen that in script writing. You go, oh, that movie is sort of like that movie over there. Okay, it's the same thing, except it's a different sport. Well, it's the same. All movies are about human endeavors, and most human endeavors have been covered in the movies, haven't they?
Yeah, and it is storytelling, and a lot of it, I like a lot of the stuff that's based on true stories, not just based on true stories. I like it when it's more accurate. But also, there is that human element that will always be missing. If you look at anything that is a deep fake on a video, you can see it. One of the big criticisms of the new Indiana Jones movie, whatever it's called, Indiana Jones and the Horse You Rode In On, or whatever, the new one, is that they did the de-aging technology with AI. And it was not received very well. Harrison Ford got, some applause because, he's retiring from the franchise, I guess. But the technology was like, somebody in, I think it was Variety, wrote, Hollywood needs to stop using this technology. Use another actor to play a young Harrison Ford. Don't, because it looks fake. And that's the problem.
Yeah,
is that
I would agree with that.
AI is always going to seem fake, at least I think in its infancy when you're talking about creative endeavors.
But I wasn't implying that AI would write the entire script.
Right.
It would make it so you don't need 10 writers, and this is the fear that I believe they have.
Yeah.
You might only need 2. Right. All right, here's the basic script from AI. Now let's put the human touch to it.
Well, they will punch it up because that's
right.
what writers do anyway. They go in and then if writers don't have, if it's not working, they go in, they'll punch it up. I mean, Taylor Sheridan is the exception to the rule because he writes all of his own words. So if there's a rewrite, he does it. But for the most part in Hollywood, you come in and sometimes they have to hire all new writers to come on board and revise the script to punch it up, and they, pay money for that, and that's always been the case. But yeah, there's not going to be that human element. It's a tool. It's just like anything that we've used the internet for. It is a tool in that regard. Now, the question is, how good can it become when it learns to learn?
Okay, here's another thing. Copyright lawsuits. When AI has basically stolen from bits and pieces of every movie out there to write a particular script.
Yeah, well.
When is there copyright infringement?
Yeah, I mean, it's,
because it's taking from those scripts. If I'm an individual mind, you don't know where I'm getting it from.
Sure.
So I could be using the same theme as somebody else, but there's no way to prove that I actually took it from that particular scene.
Right.
In AI, you could trace it back electronically. Well, this script came from these 5 movies, so you've got to pay copyright to this, and that. In civil lawsuits, I'm seeing that now. Will the lawyers be AI that are doing the actual lawsuit on it?
Right. And the lawyers are just, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, I mean,
no more Johnny Cochrans.
Well, that's it. And I don't think it's going to be what a lot of people are, the big fear momentum that seems to be in play right now. The question would be, down the road. Again, when it learns to learn, all right, then what happens? I have no idea. It would make a great movie, though. Yeah, come with me.
866-90 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
Hey, it's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric. I'm Gary. All right. Well, Tim Scott has announced, Senator Scott. He's running. I don't know which day is DeSantis supposed to announce.
I don't know. He went to New Hampshire a few days ago, And so, I mean, obviously doing the handshaking thing, it's pretty clear he's going to announce, but I don't know. Here we are to Tuesday. Do you do it on the heels of Tim Scott's announcement? Do you wait a few days? There was a speech that DeSantis gave, and a lot of people were saying the timing, because it was during the announcement time that Tim Scott was making his announcement. I didn't see the speech come across for DeSantis. I don't know if that was just a Florida-related speech or not, but a lot of people saying, you shouldn't have done that or whatever. I don't know. But most people believe it will be sometime this week. So only a few days left.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.